Remember,
Hey,
I'm last. We're live, guys.
because he spoke truth, right? So I just want to make sure.
Thank you. Let's do this.
It's really telling that the majority of Latinx artists, specifically the reggaetoneros and the influencers, have been mad quiet about this whole Black Lives Matter movement. Because y'all rep and take and appropriate from Black culture all the time. And when people call them out for not speaking out, they post gaslighting statements like these and like this. They either make themselves a victim and say, well, why don't you educate me? Or post some dumb statement about how they wish racism didn't exist in the first place. They never once acknowledge that if it wasn't for Black people and Black culture, most of them wouldn't even have a career in the first place. Because reggaeton was created as a combination of African American hip hop and reggae. You wouldn't even have a career without Black culture. But now you want to say that you don't want to speak up because you don't know enough and it makes you uncomfortable. But somehow you were never uncomfortable stealing from Black culture and making a profit off of it. Seems like you have a pretty good understanding of Black culture, only when it's profitable to you. But once it's time for you to speak up against racial injustices, suddenly you don't want to rep Black culture anymore. So it was always about money.
We're off.
Appropriation in less than a minute.
It's always so funny to me when I hear about people, they love K-pop and everything and whatever, but you realize they're stealing from Black culture, and then y'all don't even listen to your own culture's music, some of y'all. And you're like, well, it's not good, it's blah, blah, blah. But they're stealing and making the same thing and profiting off of it. So, do you have a problem with your own culture, or like, because you're helping them benefit off of your culture? And then you're the same people marching out there saying people stealing your culture, white people stealing your culture. They're doing the same thing in K-pop, stealing our culture. Don't let them continue to do it, because call them out, because that's why they get more confident and bold. They have even said K-pop literally benefits off of Black culture and literally gets a lot of stuff from it.
That's okay. I know how to build a business. You gotta get the Black people to do it to get the white people to do it. Then you gotta get the Black people to stop doing it. One step at a time.
Did you bring your passport with you?
Who walks around with
This is what cultural appreciation looks like. Look how simple his outfit is compared to theirs. This is how you appreciate someone else's culture and enjoying it without being a culture vulture. There's a fine line between appropriation and appreciation. Appreciating another culture can turn into appropriation when you use that culture for yourself. Y'all just be wearing braids and don't even be knowing the history of why it means so much to the Black community. We have a very deep-rooted connection with our hair. It's not just hair to some people. First of all, y'all be looking a mess. But you can't get mad at Black people when we tell y'all not to wear braids. Y'all rob us of our heritage. We have to create our own culture. And then y'all steal that from us too. Stop telling Black people how to feel about our issues.
So a lot of y'all comment that I'm stealing Black culture just because I have dreads. For one, no, I'm not even fully white. For two, just because you're white and you have dreads does not mean you're stealing Black culture, okay? No matter the skin color, no matter the race, no matter the culture, no matter the hair type. If you go without brushing your hair for a long time, your hair will naturally start to dread. It's a natural thing that happens to all of us. Why do you think most people have to consistently brush their hair? It's a natural thing.
everyone. Welcome. Desi likes. Desi loves that music.
That's good music, man.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Five Black Comics Show. Please go tell all your friends that we're on. Tell your family. Tell your enemies. Tell the Trump supporters. Tell everybody that the Five Black Comics are on. We're here every Saturday at 5 p.m. Today, we're going to be talking about. Before I finish the intro, I want to shout out to my dad and my mom and tell them that I love them very much. We are going to do a show on Black parenting sometime in the future. I know Kevin and Desi and Preach and Tanya, we all talk about our parents, and we hope to do a show very soon because that's very, very important. So just shout out to Mama Lee if she's watching. Tell Miss Walker Lee, Miss Walker, Desi's mom. I don't think Preach, does your mom watch?
She does not watch.
She does not watch.
But that's okay.
Shout out to her, though. Shout out to her. And Tanya, shout out to you.
Watch from the grave.
That's fine. That's fine. That works. So welcome, everyone, and thanks for coming on the show. Today, we're going to talk about cultural appropriation, the stealing of Black culture, and then pretending like they didn't. And we all know who we're talking about. There's a certain part of our society that continue to steal and take from our culture, and then they somehow manage to act like it's theirs. It's a weird thing how they just do it and then look at us like, what are you talking about? It's just very odd. From doing my research on this, I found out that nail extensions were started by Black people back in the Egyptian women actually started wearing ivory nails as part of their culture. That might seem like something simple, like, oh, it's just nails, but that's a billion-dollar industry today, right? How much do you think Black people make off the nail industry? Probably close to zero, right? So zero. So
because they buy the nails.
Pardon me?
They pay more into it. They paid part of that $1 billion. They probably paid half $1 billion.
Yeah. So even though it might seem like, oh, it's just nails, it is a $1 billion industry. Also, hoop earrings were started by African women. I'm sure we've all seen the photos. That's also another huge industry, the jewelry, all that stuff. That's money that Black people are responsible for, but profit zero, probably zero on hoop earrings and all other kinds of jewelry. I didn't know when you see logos on shirts, that was never a thing until a designer by the name of Dapper Dan started putting logos on shirts. And that also became a $1 billion industry. So when you see all these shirts with all these different huge letters across the front and up the side, that was started by a Black man named Dapper Dan. That's also a huge industry. So looking at it on the face, it may seem like, oh, it's just, that's a tiny idea. It's a tiny idea, but it makes billions of dollars. And also the necklace nameplates. Remember how Flavor Flav had the big clock, and back in the 80s, how everyone had the huge chain with the big name on it. We all know that was started by Black people. And that's also a $1 billion industry. So today we're going to talk about cultural appropriation and try to figure out how we can get in on some of the economic value that we create. We give so much, and there's so many ideas that Black people give this world, but we profit zero. So today I'm going to start with Preach. And Preach, we all did some research, so you can tell me what you found as far as cultural appropriation goes.
Well, the cultural appropriation, and there's always that fine line between appropriation and appreciation. So you can say, oh yeah, I appreciate this culture, and you can do things that show that you're promoting it as well without taking it for your own. Unfortunately, in this country, there's a segment of society, the Europeans, that came here and just felt like they could just take whatever they wanted. And it started with land. It started with with that, but then it started with the culture too. They're like, we like this, and they started taking everything. And usually it comes from the group that's in power in society. So for us, it was those, like I said, the Europeans that when they liked something that black started, you know, whether it was like a Pat Boone stealing Little Richard's, like literally stealing his songs, like word for word, and using it for his and making more money than he did, or someone like an Elvis stealing the style, which most of his music and people don't even realize that it was written by a person of color, you know, a black man that was writing his music and allowing him to go and put it out as his own. And he became so popular, like, yeah, singing black music. And that's what he was doing. And that's a definite, appropriation of black culture, because you have a black person helping you do it. And
is it the stealing that really bothers black people, is the fact that we're not acknowledged? You think that's it's okay for them to steal it, but at least acknowledge that, you know? Hey.
No, I think it's both. I think the fact that you take it, you don't acknowledge that you took it, like you try that like you're doing that gaslighting, like, what? No, this was ours, and we're just supposed to believe you when you tell us that, and then we don't get any of the profits from it either. So that's like a double-edged sword. It's like it's a double whammy. Not only did you steal it, but now you're not going to give me a share of the profits of stuff that I created.
How come we can't make money off our own culture though? Why is that? How come we can't figure out a way to make money off our own culture? Other people can come in and make billions of dollars. And I know it probably goes back to us not being able to get loans with the bank. And you know, and that's a real thing. You know, that's not and today, 2021. And if you do get a loan, it's at a higher interest rate. It kind of, you know, deters people from actually getting a loan. But
to that in the end, Carl, I'll have an answer to that.
Oh, you have an answer to that? Okay. All right, Preach, you want to finish up? Are you?
No, go ahead, Kanye.
Oh, you want me to say it now? Okay, I was trying to get.
Yeah.
So first, there's a lot of good things that we're actually doing. That I even forgot about and said, wait a minute. So one of the things is the braiding business has boomed, like quadruple out of the sky. Because you know, before you used to go to the little African shop to get your hair braided, but pretty much every girl I know that lives anywhere near a urban area usually learn some technique of braiding. I'm probably the only one that I do okay, but I'm not the best braider. But that's one, and I know a lot of young, clever young ladies who are using it as side income, and they're getting $150 every time someone sits down, so they're getting good money for it. So that's a business, and it may not have had to go to the bank because it's a cash business, but that's one. Then also makeup. Rihanna started the makeup line, and then there's a couple others that just started makeup. Iman had a makeup line, so we're trying to get a little something. And then for television, you have actresses like Lupita Nyong'o, who with her beautiful dark brown and afro, who was insistent upon keeping the afro, who has now shown Hollywood that don't tell us that lie that you can't. That nobody's going to look at this movie because she still has an afro and people are watching this movie. So that's a beautiful thing. And then in news, you have also on TV, you still have Tyler Perry, who has a station now, and he tries to put Black women in positive light. So I'm saying, as far as capitalizing, we're starting to say, well, we can do our own thing and make money off of our own people if we have to. If nobody wants us, fine, that's fine. And then you got Byron Allen, who also started a television station and a news station. He's doing a lot of things. So we're doing it, Carl. It may be slow numbers, but if you look around, pay attention. Oh, we're doing it. We are doing it. It's just silently, and before you know it, it'll pick up momentum, and then we'll all be doing it. So,
all right, Kev, what did you find out about how our culture continues to be taken? What amazes me is how they take it and then pretend like, you know, like, what are you talking about? Like, you know,
the biggest ripoff ever, you know, would be rock and roll music and country music. I mean, Black people started country music. You know, do your research. And now, if you watch a country music awards, you might see one Black act on there. And I remember, was it a few years ago? I think Beyonce was asked to come on the Country Music Awards, and there's a big uproar from white country people that were complaining that Beyonce was going to be on the Country Music Awards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the time, Beyonce was biggest star in the world. You know, and they're complaining that she's going to be on their show singing. You know, but Black people have invented country music, and Black people have invented rock and roll. But you don't really, when you think of rock and roll, you don't think of Chuck Berry or Little Richard. You know, you think of Aerosmith. You know, you think of Kiss. You know, that don't pop in your mind. You know, a Black artist. You know, but we invented that. You know, some of the things I found out that I already knew, I had to do research on. It just pissed me off was the Dick Clark thing. Dick Clark came out with American Bandstand, basically to steal Soul Train, you know, away from Don Cornelius. You know, Soul Train was a big hit, you know, unexpected hit, but a big hit in the 70s. And so they came up with a white version of that, you know, and then competed and tried to ban artists from going on to Don Cornelius' platform. You know, same thing comedy clubs do to us today. You know, you work for this guy, you work this club, you can't work my club. So so that was going on with Dick Clark back in the day. He was really basically doing he stole Soul Train, and American Bandstand was, you know, the version of that. Also, the Jacksons gave us the Osmonds. You know, a complete rip-off, man.
Yeah.
A complete rip-off. You know, the Jacksons had a cartoon, the Osmonds had a cartoon.
Yeah.
Remember that? I mean, just, it's crazy, Carl. I mean, they hijacked our style, our music, our culture so much, and they don't give us credit. And that's why we're on this show today talking about it, because we haven't gotten credit for it, you know. I mean, you have a few white artists, like the great David Bowie, who made a fuss. How come no Black people aren't on MTV?
Mm-hmm.
And David Bowie, you know, you had those people that looked out for Black artists, Black musical artists back in the day. But for the most part, they just ripped us off and wouldn't let us on TV shows, you know. Stole our style, man. Today, we have the Justin Timberlakes of the world, you know, Justin Timberlake and Robin Thicke, you know. I listen to their music. They make good music. I don't hear either one of them giving any accolades to the African American artists that they're ripping off. You know, I mean, Justin Timberlake is, you know, is no doubt, you know, it took as much as Michael Jackson as his talent allowed him to have.
I actually heard a news reporter on TV say that Justin Timberlake can dance just as good or better than Michael Jackson.
Yeah, see, that's what they call the.
She said Justin Timberlake can dance. This is a white lady, of course. So I mean, white people think Ellen DeGeneres can dance for white people. How many?
Yeah, that's their version of dancing.
It's like all she's doing is this.
All she does is rock back and forth and go. Oh my God, she moved her shoulders and her waist.
That's what the DJ does one thing and then she does it next.
I don't know if you've heard the phrase "blue-eyed soul," and that's what they're talking about. How you have all these whites that are coming in and doing soul music, or what was classically before was R&B and soul music, because hip hop pretty much did away with a lot of, and we talked about this on our hip hop show. Hip hop did away with a lot of the R&B artists. They just became lighter. Like that's the blue-eyed soul. You have a Sam Smith, you have a Timberlake doing those soul songs or those soulful songs or the R&B songs, but they're not us.
And speaking of Sam Smith, he had got himself in some hot water a few years ago when he said he don't understand why Michael Jackson was so big.
No, he did not. No, he did not.
Did so.
No.
Yeah, Google it. Yeah. And I used to listen to Sam Smith up to that point. I think I had a Sam Smith CD that I threw out my window. I don't play that mess, man. I don't play.
Yeah.
So yeah, you mean, come on, man. You cannot be
What?
A white artist and dog Michael Jackson out in my eyesight and continue to getting love from me, you know. You know. So yeah, he said he don't understand why Michael Jackson's so big, and he got tore up on Twitter for it too.
Good.
Tore up on Twitter for making a comment about Michael Jackson. I mean, how dare a guy with 3 hits talk shit about Michael Jackson? You know?
And I'd like to know how
Okay,
he
being
got up
generous
so
too.
fast off his knees. I mean, how did he get up so fast? That's what I'd like to know.
You said off his knees.
I didn't say that. I did not say that.
I mean, we've been mimicked. They mimic us. They steal our stuff. They don't give us,
can't do that.
the respect we deserve. I mean, going back, Little Richard preached this for years.
Yes.
How he was ripped off and wasn't given the love and respect, that he deserved. I mean, Little Richard was a beast on stage, and then he basically, if you watch Jerry Lee Lewis, you basically looking at a white Little Richard.
Yeah.
If you watch Elvis and then put on a tape of Jackie Wilson, you're like, wait a minute, when Elvis danced like that? But these guys, man, just stole everything, our clothes. And real quickly, I want to bring up the Asian thing we talked about in our pre-show. I've had the pleasure of performing over, and I love the Far East, man. It's one of my favorite places, to go. I love the culture. I love the food, the people. Great. I love going over there, man. So, but yeah, when I was over there, I was in a state of shock of the young Asian people that are just so into our hip hop culture. They have basically. They're hip hop down. They're definitely hip hop down, man. From head to toe, they're loving the culture, man. I mean, everything, I mean, black people, even the ring in the nose right here is an African thing.
Yes.
And whenever you see somebody with an earring right here, Tupac made famous, but putting an earring right here, but that's also African culture. I mean, a lot of racist people would always say, make fun of African people for having that thing in their nose. But now Christina Aguilera, people like her have a nose ring,
What about the other one, Kevin? What about the one where the ear stretch?
I don't like that.
Yeah.
They do that now too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I mean, we've been basically mimicked and ripped off, they're serial offenders of stealing our culture, man. Definitely, it's a bad thing. I mean, our whole beef is give us the love, give us the respect,
Yeah. Give us the money.
Yeah. And give us the money, if somebody interview me and said, Kevin, we love your comedy style. How did you develop it? One of the first things come out of my mouth is, well, I was a big fan of Steve Martin. I was a big fan of so-and-so, and I would give them their love, I mean, I love Don Rickles. I'm a combination on stage of Don Rickles and Steve Martin, if you see my act, that's me, those two guys put together, so I get that love, but these people, they get this success, Robin Thicke had a lawsuit against him for stealing Marvin Gaye's song, remember? Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. All right, Desi.
Okay. Well, I want to get to a higher level. I have a few specific.
Excuse me.
David Copperfield.
You want to get to a higher level? Excuse me.
Philosophically, like
Joe Osteen all of a sudden.
But what you got to understand is this is still part of the power dynamics of white supremacy. In that, white people are 10% of the world population, but they are determined through any means necessary to control the other 90%. And part of that push for control is to not allow any significance to any other group, because then they feel like it minimizes their group. I've heard interviews with Elvis Presley where he said he used to stand backstage and watch the Memphis artists, the black artists, perform and then copy their style. But once he got to a national level, his management, who were practicing white supremacy, told him he can't say that because then it'll take away from his brand. So he probably adopted. I mean, I remember one famous quote from Elvis is, the only thing shine my blue suede shoes. But
he said he never did it. He then later said he never said that.
And I have
right.
to correct
Well,
you.
that's what it was.
Go ahead. I had to correct you. Elvis got blamed for that, but it was actually John Wayne that said that.
John.
That's right. John Wayne said that's right. It was
John Wayne that said that. So I just wanted to correct that for anybody that may know the truth behind that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So look at my prepared thing, just so that we as Black culture, without me saying a word, we already know that we have to keep pushing our boundaries. It's part of our nature to keep innovating and doing new stuff. But this is what I have. This is from Professor Black Truth. He says, where Black Americans are concerned, culture is the very heart of our struggle and position. This culture has not told us we're better. In fact, this culture has a nonstop sermon that Black is the lowest of the low. This country has indoctrinated through legislation, literature, and music that we are lesser than, inferior to. The only ethnic group mentioned in the Constitution. Why does the Constitution mention Black people to declare that we are only 3/5 of a human being? You can only judge a culture by how it performs under natural conditions. When a culture is left to its own devices in its own environment that gave rise to it, you cannot evaluate a culture under constant siege by violence and perverted forces to rip the culture apart, ban it to be practiced, or expressed in any way that take those that created the culture and define them as not even human beings. The only way we can actually judge Black Americans is if we restore peace and prosperity we enjoyed before the European came along. This has never happened.
True. Wow.
That's
our culture. It goes on, but I'll cut it off with this last paragraph. Our culture is not a failed one at all. To have endured proves our culture is the strongest. For other groups to have experienced a tiny fraction of this, in most cases, have either led to them being exterminated entirely or made to disappear. Not only are we still here, but we are trying to be like our oppressors. We are not trying to be like our oppressors. They are trying to be like us.
Good point.
Wow, nice.
Woo, that's
Nice.
powerful.
And actually, when you mentioned
Carl Yard
Who
said
wrote
on his
that?
Facebook page, I think I read this, Carl, that racism comes from jealousy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a lot of it, is jealousy because they're jealous of our brilliance, and that, like you said, Desi, I mean, all the stuff Black people have gone through, we still are resilient and still an amazing people that can still do amazing things. With everything that has been done to us,
and that's a lot.
We still created rock and roll. We still are the best at certain sports. We still are the amazing in college, even when we had to fight to get into a college. We still, we're not even supposed to read, but we graduate Harvard.
Yeah,
I mean,
we thrive.
We're amazing people, man. So we're amazing people. Just think what we would achieve if we didn't have to deal with racism.
Exactly. That's the whole point of that statement. What I'm really trying to say is that don't be discouraged. Yes, we don't have the keys to power. So when we invent something, it gets taken from us. But don't stop. And because you'll see, I mean, even on a comedy level, on a style level, anything you do, it gets ridiculed. And then before you know it, it gets stolen and claimed as theirs. So don't ever get discouraged and not do anything. Now, the pants below the waist, the pants hanging low, we got to cut that out. That's not something we can innovate. But
that means you.
But that goes back to what you said, Des, about it all boils down to racism because the pants around the waist, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but didn't that start in jail?
Jail,
yes.
Yeah, somebody's.
That's a prison. That's a prison culture thing.
Yeah.
Because you weren't allowed to wear a belt.
They said it was a prison thing to let other guys know that you were gay, but I heard that basically it started when you go to prison, you're not allowed to have a belt.
Yeah,
because
you
use the belt as a weapon. You use the belt to hang yourself.
Right,
So
that's
if
true.
you've been locked up, first thing they do is take your shoestrings and they take your belt from you. So if you take your belt, your pants is going to sag.
Yeah, but you're supposed to wear a uniform. I worked in a jail. I don't know where they.
Well, I've been arrested.
That must be local jail. They get to wear their regular clothes.
I've been handcuffed and had my belt taken. And
I have. I
snatched.
think.
Yeah, I've had my shoes laces taken. Yeah.
Well,
I've
I think
been there.
I mean,
Yeah.
but you're right. I think it has something to do with the gay thing too at this point. But originally, I guess, started with them taking your belt and your pants sagging down, you know. But it's still a jail culture, no matter which way you look at it, right?
Yeah.
it's not a good.
To piggyback on what Desi was saying that regardless of how they treat us, I mean, everybody's been saying it. We still, as Maya Angelou said, still I rise. I mean, we go into restaurants knowing, you know, if a restaurant's full of white people, we still go in. You know, if there's anywhere where you know you're not welcome, you still go in there. You know what I mean? And I'm saying that because I remember I was at it was back in the 80s. I was at this club. You know, they did comedy. You know how they do comedy, and then they played music afterwards, like disco. But the club had a majority black people, and this white couple walked up, and they were coming into the club. And the white ladies looked in, and she saw like black people. She go, "Oh, I guess this is not our night," and just walked in and just left.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep, that's how you
see black people in a club. You know what I mean? It's not your night. If any of us wanted to go out to a club, and you walk in and you look and you see a group of white people, will you go, "Oh, it's not our night," and turn around? No.
Yeah, but she said
it depends on the club you walked into, because when I don't know if you remember I can't remember his last name. Ron Lee from Boston, and he was living in San Francisco. We did a show out there, and we said, "Hey, let's go hang out at the club." And we walked down the hallway. You could hear the booming music, and we walked around the corner, and there were two guys slow dancing, chest to chest, bare chested, and we're like, "This is not our night."
That's funny.
So in that case, yeah, we were right. This is not our night.
No, I'm talking. They just saw black people and assumed this is not our night. Right?
I've seen that before, but she said it right, because in her world, she would go into place, and now she's got to think about who she is, and that's uncomfortable for her. So she said it right.
Yeah, but
she did the right thing.
We don't have that option, right? We don't think like that. I mean, if I'm going to a club, I don't care if there's 1 trillion white people in there.
Nope.
Exactly.
It's a club. I'm going in. I'm not thinking it's white night.
Nope. White night.
But most times,
it was black night.
See, the thing about it is most of the times it is white night. They don't name it that. Just like when they say, "Oh, it's a black comedy show." Well, why don't they call it a white comedy show? Because it is most every other night.
Well, it's not white night if it's a club.
That's why they get offended with Black History too. When it comes to Black history, we have to have a special month designated for us, because all other history is white history, and it's just
right.
It's just called history. But that's what Black history should be talked about every single day, because we have invented things constantly. I mean, you talk about cell phones, you talk about stuff we use every day. So if you want to leave your house, you're gonna iron your shirt. Oh, black man. Oh, you're gonna call somebody on your cell phone while you're in your car. Oh, black man. You're gonna get in the elevator, black man. It's like we're everywhere in the culture.
Yeah. But no one wants to put that out there, and they want to that.
Right. That's you want to draw something, you're gonna look at TV, Bob Ross, white man with an afro. I'm not saying that he was doing the appropriation thing. But it was a white man with an afro.
We talking about cultural appropriation because now they're getting butt implants, right? The lip thing has been going on.
Well, the Kardashians made it cool to have the Nicki Minaj body before that was a thing. So for some reason, the society has deemed them as like, oh, look at the Kardashians. They have big lips and they have big booty. Oh, this is great. First of all, that's a lie for them, because the people that are still Proud Boy types still think of that as some bad thing, they say. But yet people make money off of us like they did. And as you can see, they exploit everything of ours. I think the Kardashians, that's a whole nother story. I'm not braids, everything. The lips.
Right, you mentioned the Proud Boys, and they go ahead, Desi.
Gotcha.
I think though too, access to mass media, now that we can put our own YouTube channel out and reach the whole world, a lot of this was happening because we didn't control the masses. We weren't able, like you said, whoever, I forget who said the logo on the shirt, that was a local style, and then someone took it and massed it to the masses, sent it to the masses. Now it's a global world. They can't get away with that kind of stuff. But we got to acknowledge that it's been going on for thousands of years. Like I was specifically in religion, we had the Trinity. We had the Father, the Son, and the Child. That was the Holy Trinity back in Nile Valley culture. The Europeans came and heard all our stories on religion, and they wrote a book, and they claimed it was theirs. And because we had the Father, the wife, and the child as the Trinity, they were so misogynistic that instead of the Father, the wife, and the child, they made it the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. So it's all men. And because if you ask anybody who the Holy Ghost is, no one can give you a straight answer. And that's because it was ripped off from the African, where it was the woman, and changed over to this mystery spirit. But it's been going on. I don't know if I think it is a form of flattery, but at the same time, it's flattery, but it's also white supremacy because they're not paying for it.
Yeah. Flattery is only when you admit it, say it. Oh, listen, I really like fried chicken, so I'm gonna have my own spot that I make fried chicken because I love it so much and I appreciate it. You say whatever it is, whatever that, making jewelry, whatever it is, but you don't try to act like it doesn't exist or cover it up or something. You have to say whatever that is to me.
And it's funny you
mentioned fried chicken
because if you think about Colonel Sanders. He went around the recipe. Go ahead. You probably can tell it better than me.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say the same thing. See, they talk about Colonel Sanders, that famous thing is like we use 11 herbs and spices. What white person uses more than salt and pepper? That's all I'm saying.
That's funny.
I like that.
And they're doing it again too with Popeyes. They're using that lady as the spokeswoman to make it like down home African, African American cooking.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a cousin. I'm not going to mention his name, but my first cousin, and I don't know how this came. It just came up in my mind. We're talking about food real quickly. He will not let his daughters eat watermelon in public.
I try not to eat watermelon in public either.
I do. I love watermelon.
No, I'm saying like if I go to a friend's barbecue. Like if it's a white person that invites me to their barbecue,
you won't eat watermelon.
I will not eat ribs. I will not eat watermelon, and I won't eat the chicken. I'll be like, give me some pasta salad. And they're like, really? You want pasta salad? Oh,
that's a whole other show, man. That's a whole other show.
But do you know where that came from? The watermelon.
I put it on my plate when I fix my plate at the end of the night. I'm putting all that shit on my plate.
I have no shame because I don't. I'll eat watermelon.
Thank you.
At a clan meeting, I don't care.
I won't care. Me too. I'm with you. Give me my fried chicken, whatever I'm gonna eat.
You know what's funny? I was at a party. It was like a little get together party, like an office type environment, and it was just me and a couple other black people and about 100 white people. But they had hors d'oeuvres, all kind of stuff on the table, and they had like a huge bowl of watermelon, and none of us touched the watermelon.
I had a white.
What it is?
We didn't say anything. But we kind of looked at each other like,
Well,
Go ahead, Tanya. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
I wouldn't touch it only because of the germ factor.
It was in chunks.
But not because, okay, well, yeah, but I don't like nobody breathing over my watermelon. So that's
it wasn't like that. It wasn't breathing over. I mean, it was set out where you just
Okay, that would be the only time I wouldn't touch it, but not because they're looking at me. I don't care what they think about me.
But we communicated mentally. Because we both were at the table at the same time, and we took everything, artichokes, whatever, everything else. Brussels sprouts, we took everything. That's fucking watermelon.
I was performing at a comedy club in Myrtle Beach called the Carolina Comedy Club, and the owner, Jamie, and I was there on my birthday weekend, and Jamie knows how much I eat watermelon in the summertime.
Yeah.
So he's a white guy, and he brought me a big watermelon to the comedy club and gave it to me. Now the whole wait staff were white girls, about 6 white girls. They were like, Kevin, he's gonna be pissed you're giving him a watermelon.
Right.
So Jamie gave me the watermelon when I came in. Happy birthday. And their faces just dropped. Like they were so scared that something was gonna happen. And this white guy gave me a big ass watermelon. It's so weird, man. Like
if you think about it,
that goes back to that movie they talked about with you know, they showed, and once again, see, this is the appropriation where they use blackface to be blacks in heaven. But this was their idea. This was the white idea of what black heaven would be. And because it was the white man's idea of black heaven, there are pork chops hanging from trees and watermelon growing everywhere. So that's in their mind, that's what heaven to us would be. Oh, we want pork chops, we want watermelon, we want that. And no, that wasn't our idea.
You know, it goes before that too. When Edison created Edison was credited with photography, the moving picture. He was fooling around one day, and he had some black people around him. He says, "Do something for the camera so I can film it." So these guys were improvising. They were trying to be funny. They took a watermelon and they were eating it very savagely, but they were goofing. And but once that got out, white people thought that we all eat watermelon that way, and they were just fooling around.
And well, our Dr. Sebi show that's going to be coming up in a few weeks, I believe. We're going to talk about how watermelon is one of the most nutritious foods in the world.
Right.
Everybody should be eating it. Who the hell, what color you are?
Thank you. And it should have seeds in it, by the way.
There you go. Seeded watermelon, sister. You hit it right on the nose, Tanya. Seeded watermelon.
You know what? You know what's crazy about that, Preach, is that you know, people always tease us, and like you see the 1950 movie was eating watermelon like savages, and you know, you said about the pork
cartoons. Yeah.
Those were foods that were given to us in slavery. Like, how creative were we to think, like, you know what? Since I gotta eat pork, let me fry this sucker and with some seasoning on it. Like, who would have thought of that? They've just like bake it and put like salt. But who would have thought that we made it something so slamming that it is a thing now in all places that want some form of fried chicken? Most people, very few people say, "Ew, I don't like fried chicken." If you get the right fried chicken, most people like fried chicken. They're fronting if they don't. No, it's not healthy for you the way it's the old school way, you know, the vegetable oil, all that stuff. But these are things that were given to us by slave masters as leftovers. And we turned it into something billion-dollar business problem. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand. That's cultural inappropriation in that you're teasing me about something not only that you gave me, but like, really?
When I go to my favorite Jamaican restaurant,
oh yes,
every time I go there are white people in line. They love our food.
What about the islands when people come? Don't they?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I mean, it's always, you know.
Yeah. I'm gonna read a few comments here. Gina said, Carl, as a white person, I have traveled all over the country and I don't ever remember seeing anyone of color turned away or snubbed at a restaurant, even in Harrison, Arkansas, maybe because I'm not black. I confess that living in the maskless South Texas, I wear a mask and I'm looked at like I'm a freak. No maskers down here. But Gina, it's not about black people being turned away. You walk in, but you can tell you're not welcome. It's a feeling that you can feel it.
It happened to me in Raleigh. In fact, the parents I was with were German. They're German. And the daughter they adopted is German and black. And so when we walk in, like, you can clearly see what I am. Right. And as soon as and they had good food, like the food looked like legit grandma's food. Yeah. But as soon as I walked in behind them, everyone was like this.
Yeah.
And so they said their exact words was, "We're not eating here because I don't like the way they just look." So we left because we were like, we ain't gonna have people feed us poison. Like, that doesn't work.
It just happened to me like 4 days ago. We have a place here in New York where I live called Patsy's Pizzeria, and Patsy's it's an upscale pizza restaurant. Mm-hmm. And I walked through the door, and everybody looked at me like this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Most uncomfortable feeling in the world, man. It's just uncomfortable as hell when everybody looks at you like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah. Nah, you don't need my money. You don't need my money.
Yeah, exactly. You know, everybody just turned around like all at one time. It wasn't. Yeah. It was like a movie. It was like.
Yeah.
Kevin, you travel all over the place, so you know there are several clubs where you walk up to the door and they go, "Oh, you the comedian." Like your picture may not even be up, but they know you're the comedian because there's no black people down there. There's no, or if you stop somewhere else in the town, period. Yes. Oh, you must be here for the comedy show. There's no black, and they don't say it, but they're basically saying there ain't no black people in this town, so you must be here for the show.
Well, I told this story in one of our meetings. I told this story in one of our meetings a few months ago, and I haven't told it on the air, so I'll tell it now. In Atlantic City, I pulled up, and I'm walking into the hotel casino where I'm performing for the week in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and a white guy handed me his luggage. He thought I was the, he thought I was the maitre d' or something. That was took his, because I always wear suits when I go to these. When I travel to a club or to a venue, I wear a suit there. I don't go in jeans and t-shirts because I'm African American. I can't pull up at a 5-star hotel. I don't have the luxury to go up to a 5-star hotel and walk in with some holy jeans and a t-shirt like some white guys can and check in. I have to have on a blazer and some slacks, in my fedora. So I walk in looking basically like I'm about to go on stage, Right. And so he saw me, I'm in my suit, and he hands me his luggage. Dude,
I would have just said thank you and walked off.
Did you put the Harry Winston? Are the diamonds in there?
Why is it that stereotypes stick so to black people? It's like the stereotypes just. I mean, is it us internalizing it and holding on to it?
No,
you can say anything about any other culture and they don't. You know what I mean? But
it's in the media, so therefore it's going to be unconsciously programmed in your brain like a stamp. And that's why it's done through the media, because Jim Crow is the best. He's told all about it in his book. I will still make you a slave even after slavery is over 400 years later, because he knew the power of the mind. If I do enough mental damage to you, it will take just as many years to get all that stuff up, peel that onion. And media still reinforces it. So even if you don't want to think like, okay, I'm going to wear my afro to this job interview. You don't want to think that. You want to think, this is my hair. This is what I do. But you go with that afro.
But Carl said it best. See, in Barbados, even though it's the majority of people there are black, the images you were sent about Black Americans came from whites. See, the images that you got about Black Americans didn't come from Black Americans. So that's why your opinion of them is slanted a certain way.
Absolutely. It's all subjective.
But we're supposed to be proud of who we are, though. We can't hide that we like watermelon. We shouldn't be afraid to eat watermelon in public because we like a very nutritious fruit that's very good for you, for your health and your body. So why am I hiding the fact that I'm putting something healthy in my body because your racist ass? It doesn't belong to me. It only belongs to me because of my skin color. That's your problem. You think I'm eating this because you're racist and you're getting joy out of me eating watermelon, or walking through the shopping center, walking through the store carrying one to the counter, the biggest one you can find, the biggest seeded watermelon you can find, I'm carrying to the counter right in front of your white ass, because I don't care.
But Kevin,
what about the racist people? They can't resist selling a joke. They'll look at you and they'll be biting their tongue, and then they go, "You got a watermelon, don't you?" And you're like,
About the watermelon, can I tell you? I cashiered part-time 7 years at a grocery store, so let's just say. And let me tell you who was getting watermelon. It wasn't black folk.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's a fact.
What I'm saying, why do we let it get to us? You know what I mean? Why do we preach say you don't eat watermelon in front of white people? Like, why do you let it?
Because they're gonna be at the water cooler the next day talking about. I told you.
Who cares?
Exactly. That's their problem.
I don't care.
That's their problem, brother.
Yeah. Why do we care?
If I'm on your lips, then that's a good thing.
Like my cousin, like I said, he won't let his kids eat watermelon, and they're teenagers. He'll have a heart attack if they eat watermelon in public. I mean, why do we care? Why do we cater to racists? Is what Carl
right. That's exactly what I'm asking. Why do we give a shit?
Yeah.
Why do we let it affect our lives and how we live, how we move, what we eat? Why do we care? You know what I mean?
I don't think.
So besides watermelon, what else don't we do because white people are around? There's got to be.
They want us to lose weight. So if we have hips, nice hips, our African side, let's say, they want us to, we're saying, oh my God, I'm too fat. When I'm like, girl, you only are like a size 10. Like the average woman is a size 12. What's up? Little things like that. Our hair. There's so many things.
Me, like I remember when we'd have office parties, and they play music, and I know, like, I can see all the white people dancing, and they're going above and beyond with their dancing, and they expect me. They're looking at me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm be on the floor spinning on my back. So like,
what about at restaurants? Do you tip big because of the stereotype that we're not big tippers?
I do.
I hate to say it. But not because of the stereotype so much as it is. I've been a waitress, and I paid off, I won't say how much, a lot of debt by being a waitress because that's how good my tippers were. So I always like to reenact it. So, and I know those people, people work hard, and especially when I go to places where they don't get a lot of money. That's just me. Because
I tip big for two reasons. Yeah. I think that it's 15 to 20. I always tip way more than I should, but I do for one because I know they don't expect Black people to tip at all. You know what I mean? And two, I know they don't have health insurance and all this. You know what I mean? When the waitress, you don't have all the benefits that other people have in jobs. So those are the two reasons. And one of it's mainly because I know I'm Black and they don't expect me to tip. Yep. So I kind of try to I say I'm making up for the Black person who probably didn't tip before me.
Yep.
So again, it's like that movie Crash where they walk out of the restaurant and they're like, oh, I didn't give that waitress no tips. Like, why did you give her no tip? Because we didn't get good service and she didn't expect us to tip. So then you basically fell right into her mindset, like she didn't expect me to tip, so I didn't tip. Like, but now you're playing into what she believed.
Well, if you got bad service, I'm not leaving. I'm going to tell you that you have bad service, and I'm not leaving you a tip. That's a different story. That's a whole.
Another stereotype is the dogs we have. Like I thought I was getting a lab rescue, and it turned out to be a lab pit bull mix. So now I'm in an all-white neighborhood with a pit bull.
The Black man with the pit bull.
That doesn't help.
That is so true. That is so true.
I have white people.
I had a car
stop
while I was walking my dog. Okay, I had a Siberian Husky and a car with Black people in it stopped and yelled at me, "What you doing with that white man dog? I don't know you. I don't even know you. Why are you stopping and talking?" My dog was a Siberian Husky. I had a Siberian Husky, and a random car stopped on the street to yell at me about the type of dog I had.
Wow! I was in a Walgreens, and Barry Manilow was playing, and I was singing Mandy, and his brother stopped and turned around and looked at me for like 10 seconds, and then walked off.
You should be doing the talking.
That's because you got the words wrong. You messed up the lyrics.
I was singing Florence and the Machine, and they were like, "How do you know Florence?" I was like, "Girl, I'm a worldly musician. Stop playing."
Yeah. Guess what, Carl? I have a country song on my ringtone. Right now, I heard the song. And I gotta let you guys know what it is in the after meeting, because but who the artist is, but it's on my ringtone. It's a country song. I like the lyrics, so I heard it on the radio and I Shazammed it. And I like that song, so I found it and I put it on my ringtone. It's been on my ringtone for like 5 or 6 months now. So whenever I'm in a store or something out in public, when that ringtone goes off, and that country music comes out my ass because my phone's in my back pocket.
Literally.
The looks that I get when people go, "Is that his phone?"
Yeah.
Why is that song coming out his phone?
Sometimes but then I think of that, they go, why that music coming out his ass?
I'm in a Black neighborhood in the hood somewhere picking up something, and that phone goes off. I try to muffle it, man, so the brothers won't hear it.
What about when you play?
I get worse looks from the brothers when the song plays in public than I do from the white people. White people don't really care that much, and they go, "Oh, I like that song." They know the song probably. But it's when I'm somewhere around Black people and it goes off, they look at me strange as hell, man.
Try the new Maverick City Choir. They sound like rock,
Excuse me.
like a rock. I don't know what you call them, like a rock Christian group or something, but it sounds like rock and roll. When you first hear some of the music of them, and there's another group. When you first hear it, you're like, oh, this is like wait a minute, isn't that like Christian rock type of thing? They died. They said, who is that? And I'm like, don't worry about it. It's all good. Don't worry. Don't stereotype me. Don't put me in a box because I'm definitely gonna break out the box, whatever that is.
Yeah. Russell Clark, do you know him? Desi said hi to you. You know Russell?
Yeah, that's my cousin.
Russell says black. He says black people do tip. I know black people do tip, but it's just because I tip and I'm black, you know. So I know we do tip, but it's just that stereotype where I just got to get rid of that shit, man, because I can't bear the burden. I can't be paying all black people.
Listen, Carl, you ain't not doing to be like, damn, we be like a lot of money. Like that, but it's just, especially when you give good service, like that's what you do.
Yeah.
And you can tell when the restaurant, when they have that thought about black people, because they be like, like they get a little attitude at first, and then once they realize, oh, they seem nice, then they get a little softer, and then by the end they're like, okay, I better work for this because I be saying like you might want to work for it, girl. You might want to work for it.
I always make a point of telling the waitress, I thought you were really excellent. I'm a good tipper, but I'm going to give you extra just so you know that I appreciate your service.
Yeah.
And honestly, that helps all black people, I feel.
And especially, Russell also said they say you dance so well. Yeah, I've heard that
song, Beautiful Crazy.
You dance so well.
What about, have you ever been in a corporate event and they put on music and a random white lady will look at you and say, come on, let's dance.
Yeah.
You get out there and do your two-step.
Yeah.
The song on my ringtone, by the way, is by Luke Combs called Beautiful Crazy.
Oh, yes, I know that song. Yes.
Yeah, that's my ringtone, man. I love that song, but it's a country song, man. Yeah. Give me a lot of trouble, man.
I mean, I just like good music, man.
Good music, man. That's about,
You know, I don't care who's singing it.
And that's the thing about us. We don't care. We don't sit and say, oh, is that somebody black? We just started this buy black thing because we had to, because we were like, oh, so you don't want my money? You don't want me in your place? Oh, my bad. So Carl opens a business, like, let's all go to Carl because we have to. It's not because we're sitting up here saying, oh, what can we do to X out, white people? That's not how we think. We don't think like that. We think, oh, you don't want us? You don't want my business? Oh, okay, my bad. I'm sorry. So we'll just go over here. That's what we're thinking. It's not so much,
You got 2 minutes left.
I have to admit, in high school, there was one kid. I went to a high school. We were like 30 black kids out of 2,000 kids. And we had one kid that was black that loved heavy metal. And I have to admit, we gave him a lot of hell for like Rush and all those groups.
Why though? Why? Let's dig into that. Why?
Because back then that wasn't black music. So we had to that was the line.
I know, but there must be a reason. There's got to be a reason. Why? Because like in Barbados country,
sounds like racism to me.
Huh?
Sounds like racism to me because my friends were opposite when I was 7 and 8. I had a friend that played drums and he was like really into Kiss. And he's the one to put me on at like 7, 8 years old to Kiss. I mean, that's awkward, but that's what it was. Eric, I'll call his name Eric. You know who you are. One of my schoolmates. And nobody said, oh, Tanya, you can't like Kiss if you're black. What?
I used to listen to Kiss back in the day,
Yeah.
I mean, bomb. Yeah, man.
We don't care. Black people do not care. If we like you, we rocking with you. Period.
Right. I when I hear AC/DC, if I'm in my car and AC/DC, You Rock Me All Night Long comes on.
Yes.
I friggin' crank AC/DC.
Yes. But we're comedians, man. So we travel. Like I'm driving to Florida in 10 days. My playlist on the way to Florida. It's gonna be nuts, It's gonna be Barry Manilow. It's gonna be Hall & Oates. It's gonna be Elton John. It's gonna be James Brown. It's gonna be Rick James. It's gonna be Michael Jackson and Prince and Delphonics, and then a little bit of everybody. So my playlist is everybody. Good music is good music, man.
That's right.
Yeah, I tell people I listen from Akon to ZZ Top.
There you go. Exactly.
Yes.
I'm gonna have plenty of light rock. That light rock gets me through, man.
That's right. Keep it going.
I mean, Elton John's greatest hits got me across country plenty of times.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We don't care, man. We're not.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a show on because I had a debate on Facebook a few days ago. I'm always on Facebook debating with these fools.
I know.
About black people are racist, and I said I can't buy into that black people are racist. I don't buy into that, you know. So we're gonna do a show on are black people racist, you know, because I'm so sick of this. Well, black people are racist, you know.
Proving how we can't.
Dr. Joy DeGruy, we gotta. I so want to have her on this show.
Yeah.
You guys got to look her up, Dr. Joy DeGruy. And that question about are black people racist, the way I might botch this, but the question she says, name some ways in which racist white people can affect black people. Name some different ways that affect our lives. Economics, healthcare, you cannot get a loan. You know what I mean? The police can stop you and harass you. Name several different ways that white people can have effect on black people.
My friend who was saying this.
Okay, then she goes, now name some ways that black people can have an impact on white people's lives. Name one. Name any way you as a black person can have an impact on any white person's life.
Crickets.
Yeah, right. So how can we be racist? We have zero power.
Yeah, the only black person that ever could have possibly held any power to commit a racist act would have been when Obama was president, because he had power. That's about it. Nobody else really has that kind of power.
But not even that, because he didn't have that power because because the way the United States is set up, where it's a balance. You have your executive branch, your judicial branch, and your legislative branch.
That's funny you say that, Priest, because Obama get called racist all the time, don't he?
Yes, he does.
Obama started,
but Congress, when Mitch McConnell or the head of the Congress said, we as Republicans will not pass anything for this president. That was a racist statement. That was a racist act against a sitting president.
Right.
And they got away with it.
Right.
But did you know about executive orders before Trump? Who knew that you can just sign laws in as the president?
Yes.
Thank you.
Certain laws, certain things you can sign in, because every president usually does that. Like his last couple of weeks in office, signs a bunch of executive orders, grants a bunch of pardons, and you know, Obama was known to give out he gave out a whole bunch of pardons for nonviolent drug offenders before he left office.
That was good.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for watching the show today. Thanks to Gina. Kitty, you just came in at the end. Hey, Kitty. It's one of my fellow Bajan buddies that just popped in. You can watch the show. It's gonna be live on. It's not live, but it's gonna be saved on Facebook and also on YouTube.
Yep.
Dr. Joy, Gina's asking Dr. Joy, who Dr. Joy DeGruy, D-E-G-D-E-Y. How do you, Dr. Joy?
D-E-G-U-Y.
D-E-G-U-Y, right? D-E-G-U-Y, yeah. Dr. Joy DeGruy. It's pronounced a Y at the end, but it's pronounced DeGruy. The Y is silent.
Right.
Before I go, I want to list, these are designers, these are black designers who are great black designers. And we gotta support these people. I just have 7. There's lots more, but these are black designers. So all the Gucci and the Tommy Hilfiger and all the Yves Saint Laurent and
don't even mention them. Don't even mention them. I said don't even mention them.
Yeah. You know that we go to their stuff pales in comparison to these black designers. So there's Kirby Jean Raymond. His brand is Peter Moss. There's Aurora James. His brand is Brother Bellies. I want to pronounce V-E-L-L-I-E-S. And there's Vils. Okay, Brother Vils. Telfar Clemens. His brand is Telfar. Romeo Hunt. His brand is Romeo Hunt. Carly Cushing. His brand is Cushing. Laquan Smith. His brand is Laquan Smith. And then there's Rihanna. She has Fenty, Savage, and X Fenty. So just go out and support those black designers and stop with the supporting of the people who you never see in your neighborhood, and you never will see them in your neighborhood.
And that's an
build,
applause
or
for
build your
Paul for
neighborhood.
wearing that nice shirt by Polo, by the way.
Yes.
No, this is a Walmart special.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say who I'm wearing. I have to put my hair over their logo because I'm not gonna promote you.
And my earrings are handcrafted from a girl from Spain. No design.
Shirts from Italy. So
I just want to give a quick shout out to a
Ciao.
couple of people. Celine Brown, who's one of our frequent listeners or watchers. That is my nephew in South Carolina.
Hey, Celine.
Hey, watching.
Well, if we're giving shout outs, I can give him a shout out.
Yeah,
You can give him a shout out. He gave you a shout out earlier.
You did.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Happy birthday, Valerie Ford.
Valerie
Ford.
Happy birthday.
Okay, and I'd like to shout out my Aunt Jean. She's watching, one of the last. My mother had 17 siblings, and she's one of the last few still there. She's watching. And, of course, wifey supporting me, cooking kids dinner.
Desi.
Yes.
Desi is the family man or family men.
Yes. I have one sentence when you finish to sum it up.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go to you, Tanya, then Preach. Can you tell us what we have coming up for next week's show after Tanya?
Absolutely.
So somebody had asked us why can Black women wear weaves? And so the summary is this: appropriation is different than assimilation. That's it.
Appropriation is different from assimilation.
Than assimilation.
Right. Because people are asking how come Black women can wear weaves.
Even though we came up with that, by the way, wigs. Cleopatra go way back. So the guys in England wearing them, we came up with that too. It was to shave their head. They had to shave their heads because of head lice way back in the Bible era. And that's how wigs came into play anyway. So that's still ours, but go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead, Preach. When you wrap it up, because I always end the show and then we go for another hour.
Well, I just want to remind people that as we started the show a year ago, and it took a turn when Ahmaud Arbery was murdered by 3 white men that chased him down and killed him because he was jogging. And then there was Breonna Taylor. And then there was George Floyd. Well, it continues to happen where the police are still killing unarmed, innocent Black people. Yeah. So it's not that we're ignoring that this happens. We recognize that this continues to happen. Happened last week, happened this week, okay? And we support the Black Lives Matter movement as they protest against police violence against unarmed Blacks. So I just want to put that out there and let people know that no, we have not stopped supporting that cause. Upcoming shows we have next week, we're going to be talking about the suicide, especially in the Black community, because that's not something that's talked about, because mental health isn't talked about in the Black community. Okay, and that's a big issue. The following week on the 13th, we're going to be talking about Blacks in animation, and we're going to have Sir Ivan Bennett, who used to work for the Spike Network, Nickelodeon. He's worked on the Little Bill Show, Dora the Explorer, and the creator of Jenny Starfly, which was a space bot that taught science to kids. So he'll be there on the 13th. And then on the 20th, we're going to talk about the N-word.
The N-word.
The N-word. Yes, right.
That
you
nice?
know what I mean, nigga.
Shout out to the
favorite word.
I mean, we haven't talked about killings in a while, but they haven't stopped. They haven't stopped, and it just gets depressing after a while. But on February 17th, this wasn't a police killing, but a white dude in Michigan, I think, if I got it correctly, got into an argument with 3 Black youths at a convenience store. He tried to hit one of them with his car as he was leaving the gas station. He went home, got a shotgun, came back. They were still there in their car and shot all 3 of them. 2 of them died, and one's in critical condition. And this was the 17th.
And he'll probably get away with it because they have the gun law.
You know? So, I mean, there's no words for that. I mean, there's just
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because if you have an altercation, okay, take your L and keep it moving. You lost that one, okay? You can't just take a see, and that's what's changed with people too. Before you get into a fight, you win or you lose, okay? You lick your wounds and you walk away. Now it's like, oh, I'm going home and get my gun. See,
that's why a lot of those type of people are moving to the South, because they have laws that Zimmerman, people like that, get away with it. So that's why they move down there, so that they can have the right to just walk up to you and blow your brain out and say, I thought my life was in danger.
What did John Witherspoon say? And a real man use these.
Yeah,
remember that?
just use these
real
things.
man use these. You know.
Yeah.
I just realized I got some big ass hands, but yeah.
I
should be a boxer or some comedian.
Once again, thanks to everyone for watching the show. Please continue to watch our show. Please try to watch us on YouTube. We can do a lot more with our content on YouTube. We're trying to move away. Well, we'll still be on Facebook, but we want to get as many subscribers on YouTube. So please tell your friends, your family, your enemies, your acquaintances, your side chicks,
Proud Boys,
Proud Boys, whoever. Just go to YouTube and watch our show. And with that out of the way, thanks to everyone. Thanks, Kevin, Desi,
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Tanya. Watch Tanya on 2 Thursdays and Sundays on The Town with Tanya. Yes. Kevin Lee's book, Playing with Fire. Please pick that up on Amazon. And Gina Fiore, I'm so sorry. My Italian
life.
Not
my Italian life.
Therapy. Italian
life is therapy. Therapy should be life.
My Italian Therapy. Gina has a book out called My Italian Therapy. She also has a website, so please check her out. It's all about healing. She fought and beat cancer several years ago, so she must be doing something. There's something Gina knows that obviously we don't know. So please check out Gina's book. So once again, thank you guys so much, and we will see you again next Saturday here, the 5 Black Comics. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.